But yeah, so we're going to be talking about J.K. Rowling, and we all know J.K. Rowling is a TERF and transphobe. We're just going to put that out there. But it's not uncomplicated, and she has a large body of work, yes, but also a large body of work that extends beyond her and has a lot of different creators, including trans creators who are involved. So we are going to be talking to Sean, Rees Wins, and Nix Calder, two trans members of our community who are also playing Albus and Scorpius in the Melbourne performance of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child at the moment. And I think that's really, really interesting to talk about. So, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
So, first off, how did you get involved with this performance?
Yeah, congrats on landing the role.
Yeah, no, payday.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Well, I started with the original company. I'm Sean, I play Albus. I started with the original company back in 2018, and I came out as trans during the COVID lockdown. So
Congratulations.
That was cool.
First of all, congratulations. Second of all, that's a scary time to be doing that.
Yeah, well, it was cool because there was no one around. I was just alone in my house kind of thing. So, yeah, it didn't feel very real. But, so I don't know, how did I get involved? I just auditioned back in 2018, a million years ago.
Yeah.
What about you?
I joined the company in the second year of the production. So yeah, how does one get involved? One gets a casting call and a casting brief, I suppose.
One does. One might. One could.
Sean, did you just say that did you take the role and had been in the role prior to coming out?
Yeah.
So was that how'd that go with the production company? Like, was that something they had to consider, or it's a character so you can play it no matter your gender identity?
It was complicated for me personally because there's a level of dysphoria that comes with playing a male character, but I really love the character. Like, I really love him, and I've kind of known in some iteration, as most trans people will attest to, I've known in some iteration, like, as early as I can remember, and I went through different phes of sort of repressing it and lying to myself, and Nix is nodding right now. This is radio.
Yeah,
I'm nodding right now.
Like, we're all just quietly nodding. And so when I originally took the role, it was actually a bit of back in 2018, it was quite a symbolic decision to kind of hide that part of myself. And I think lockdown, just being like alone and like having very few distractions, I just realized I couldn't run anymore. And so I one of the first things I did was actually came out to you.
Yeah.
We were doing a show, and
in the half-hour call. It was amazing.
It was the half-hour call before we were meant to go on, and Nix came into the dressing room, and I was crying. I don't know. You tell the story.
Yeah. Sean and I have been, very open and very supportive of each other, I suppose. And I guess the addition of another trans creative in the workplace was like a bit of an extra push.
Yeah, seeing you be so amazing and successful and being such a good friend was it made me realize that I actually didn't have anything to be scared of. And so, yeah, you came into the dressing room half an hour before you had to go on stage, which probably wasn't that fair on you in hindsight. And I was weeping, and you were like, "Why? What's wrong?" And I was like, "I'm trans. I'm doing it. I'm telling you what, and I don't do." And then I came out to production, and they were incredibly supportive from woe to go, and had questions about like safety and how like my physical body would change because the show is very physically demanding and whether or not hormones would affect that, but once we kind of work through all those logistical things, they've been nothing but loving and supportive.
I am hesitant to break up this beautiful, happy moment that we're having by getting just a little bit heavy, but we kind of have to go there because as soon as, and Dee, can you confirm this, Dee, when you told each of us, hey, we're going to be chatting with some people from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, each of us went, JK.
And I said, let's lean into it. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, because she obviously has that huge back catalogue of work, but also she's been incredibly problematic. And I know that is a very difficult situation for you to be in as trans creators because you're right in the middle of this as something that J.K. Rowling is really rallying against. I want to know how you felt when this shift in J.K. started to happen.
I remember that, like, sort of when, like, the start of the I guess the Twitter storm or whatever you'd like to call it, was actually around the time where I had just been cast, and was like maybe a week before I started rehearsal to join the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very conflicting for me personally. But you know, the longer that I've been here, the more that I realize that the the views of any one individual, whoever they might be, don't really hold much sway or impact within this building, at least like outside of a creative standpoint. And when it comes to, you know, identity and politics and things like that, I will say that to all the remarks made before, that they are all quite, you know, awful and heinous, and have made me feel quite, you know, like wounded and deeply conflicted at times. But conversely, there's a beautiful, supportive energy within this building, within this cast, this crew, and this company as a whole, that really alleviates a lot of my personal concerns. That this is a safe environment for trans people to work within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think for both of us, the comments were incredibly saddening and hard, and wounding is a very good word for it. But when I think about the play and what we do every night, the message of the play and of us and our work is one of love and tolerance and acceptance. And obviously the comments she's made have kind of gone against those messages, but for me that doesn't change the meaning of the play. And I also consider the fact that this play, like, as two of the principal actors, both of us being quite visibly and openly trans, I don't think there's any better way to move forward after such comments, right? Like, to be, because I'm really proud to be who I am. Yeah, I'm really proud to be able to have these forums to, like, voice who I am. And yeah, I think that's just the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a big part of why we tackle transgender visibility the way that we did.
Yeah, that's very true.
To embrace that rather than to shy away from it.
And you're in good company, because when you look at the people who have been affiliated with Harry Potter in the past, all the people who have been like in the big key starring roles, like your Daniel Radcliffe, your especially Emma Watson, your Rupert Grint, they've all come out and said, actually, we disagree with JK and we're all for equality. So you're in good company.
Yeah. And I think
I think that's
sorry,
true.
you go.
No.
I just think it speaks to the difference between writing a novel and being a part of a production. A production is made up of so many people. JK didn't even write it. You know, she's not standing in there with you. She wrote some books and they've taken on a whole other dimension that so many people are involved with, including transgender people. And I also just think how much she'd hate that is quite funny to me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there is something about that, but I also, like, because when all of this happened, and I wasn't out at this point, but you knew that I was out to you, but not.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading kind of this, like, essay she posted on her website, and I actually have a lot of, like, I feel really sorry for her. It sounds like a lot of the kind of things that have motivated these kind of statements and come from a place of real pain from her past and real fear. And I understand. I mean, as trans people, I think we can relate to pain and fear. Like, like those things happen.
Nothing else, yeah.
And so I just, yeah.
Today is, of course, Trans Day of Visibility, which is odd for us working at a radio station because you can't see us at the best of times. But for you two, you know, that is what you do. You are on stage. You are very visible. Does the audience, do you think they typically know that you're trans? Do you think that's important to yourself or to your role or to the production?
A big part of why I wanted to do things around Trans Day of Visibility is that I think a majority of the audience in the past hasn't known.
Right.
Which, you know, I don't think there's a lot going on. There's costume, there's in my case, there's a wig, there's makeup, you know, I don't think there's anything that would make them think, would think that I'm anything other than what I am on stage, I suppose. And so, a big part of, like, wanting to come out in a very public setting, and make that clear was because I want more people that are coming to know that. I think it's really important, especially for young fans and young audience members, because, you know, anybody that comes to see this show that is trans, non-binary, or gender diverse, I think they have every right to be able to celebrate the fact that someone like them is up on stage. doing something of this scale.
Absolutely. We're chatting with Sean and Nix, two trans actors on the current cast of The Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, now playing at the Princess Theatre in Melbourne.
I think one of the other things, because obviously we talk about what happens a lot with, when cis people are cast as trans people, but you are, I guess, trans people being cast as what was assumed to be cis people. Do you view the characters when you're playing them as they're trans now, or do you view them as you're playing a cis person? I just think that would be interesting.
Oh, that's such an interesting question.
The way that I'll phrase this is that as an actor, when I approach a character, it's always from my own personal experience when I build it. So it's built implicitly from my experiences as a trans person. I haven't gone in going like, Scorpius is trans now. I've got this. Haha. As long as I haven't.
It's canon. It's confirmed.
I can't believe J.K. Rowling confirmed it herself. It's trans.
But because all of my experiences and my relationship to pain and to adolescence and to the father-son relationship, that kind of dynamic to play. Any of that stuff, like child to parent, that's all informed by my experiences as a trans person. So I think that there's always going to be a color or a shade of that to whatever I do, regardless of the identity of the character that I play.
We've also talked about how a lot of the play maps onto a very cliched trans narrative as well, and we often kind of joke about. But I don't think it's necessarily productive for me as an actor to now read Albus or Scorpius as trans.
The material is absolutely there if you want it.
I think the material is kind of there.
But it's not a thing that we could play, if that makes sense. There's I can't be, all right, then this is my trans take in the character. It would be exactly the same as what I do already.
There's something theoretical about the concept of the body that exists within the character is a trans body.
Yeah.
There's also something that kind of you can't also get around that.
Yeah, you're watching two trans bodies on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Having our bodies exist within those characters that denotes a certain transness. I don't know.
I've got the feeling that you two drive Matt a little bit crazy with this kind of chatter. Am I right?
I don't know. I'm looking at him right now, and he's smiling and shaking his head, but I don't know if I believe him. We're in a dressing room together alone.
Yes.
So we alternate days of driving each other crazy.
Yeah, you're vibing that, absolutely. The show is called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It is on, what's your run until? It's on at the Princess Theatre now. How long are you there for?
I think as long as they'll have us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're booking up for August currently, I believe. Is that the current?
I know you're too young to remember you're both too young to remember the run of Les Mis or Cats, which seem to be in Melbourne forever. So good luck with that. You might clock the 4 years. I guess you both age out of it. You can't gender out of it, but you might age out of those roles. Is that right?
Well, I'm 30, so you let me know when that happens.
I've seen photos. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh well. I think transmasc energy is the fountain of youth.
Yeah. When I was 18, I was actually a 14-year-old boy.
Oh dear. Thank you so much for joining us. That, of course, is Sean and Nix. They're on at Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. If you want more information, you can go to harrypottertheplay.com. Thanks so much for joining us on Joy Drive.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
See ya.